I'm Howard Smith. This is Homework 3, Amazon Service Implementation. With that, I'm going to go ahead and start and talk about my AWS implementation of their services. I chose the S3 storage. I'm also going to use Elastic Transcoder. The storage will allow me to upload, download files, and also to separate my files. I'll be uploading original videos, but I'll be encoding them and transcoding them into a different format. So I want to keep that in a separate storage, buckets they call them. And I'm going to use Elastic Transcoder to do the transcoding. So it'll pick up the original files, encode, and then deposit them into a finished bucket, if you will. Also, the other services I'm going to use is the Amazon or AWS Interactive Video Service. This is the heart of my project, actually. I built my project, actually, to set up a streaming platform for myself. I run a video business, and I use YouTube now. And I'm trying to get away from YouTube's distractions for my customers if I can set up my own video streaming platform. That's what I did with this, and interactive video service was a major part of this. I'm also going to talk about FFmpeg. It's a service. It's actually the back end to the Amazon streaming service, IVS for short. But it is a big part, so I will have to talk about that also. And then we'll talk about the quotas, AWS service quotas, because everything costs and they limit what you can do with certain services and how far you can go, and also AWS's service endpoints. I'm going to talk just a little bit about those. We all use those, but okay. So I'm going to start here. So let me get my notes. Okay, and I'm going to start with storage. So let's go there. Now, I am not going to go through and do a lot because we're limited to 5 minutes, and I've already used 2.5. So I'm just going to push on and just kind of explain. This is my storage. I have 3, they call them buckets, like folders, and I named 3. Why I didn't call them input and output and thumbnail, I don't know. Anyway, this one is for my input. This is where I'll upload the originals. When I'm finished encoding or transcoding, then they will go here. The other services will pick up the finished videos from here. Now, there are many other ways to upload and other options for storage with AWS, but this is the one that I chose. All right, so let me keep bouncing again. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Elastic Transcoder. Basically, what it does is takes an original media, doesn't have to be a video, but again, I deal mainly with video, and what it does is it will encode into different formats. So because there's different devices, you have tablets, cell phones, and then and PCs, laptops, and then the different browsers and the different video players. So when I create a file, I have to know what its final destination would be, and then I format that file for that particular customer. Well, Elastic Transcoder, I can take one file and transcode it into many different formats at once, and that's why I use this. This is a key. In order to do that, you need to create a pipeline, which is sort of a queue. This is how you can set certain jobs in and to hold them until they're ready to go. Create new jobs. This is where you create the jobs. In other words, you can do more than one video, but if I take one video, which I did, I'm not going to do it now, but I'll just run through. Before that, I created 2 pipelines. One, and I called it, you can name them, but I just called it web-bound because it'll be for either my website or YouTube. And then high priority, ones I want to move ahead of anything else that may be running. So I have two pipelines set. When you create a job, you can choose either one that you want. So you create the pipelines, which I've already done, and then you come here to create a job. In order to do that, again, you choose which pipeline you're going to use, and then here you choose the input file. When you click here, it'll show the files or videos that I had in my input file. So I don't even have to write, I can click, and I'm going to choose this one. Actually, I'm not going to create the job, I'm just going to go through the... Now, I can add another input, but I'm only going to do one. Now, here's the beauty of why I chose this. I have one file, but the output details. Here, I can choose almost any format that I want. I can do ultra. If it's not already, I think my video is already ultra, but if it's not, I can choose ultra high def, regular high def, standard, and then I can come down and pick formats for iPhones, Apple TV, for the web in particular, Kindle. Never used a Kindle, but if somebody had a Kindle and I wanted to get a video to them. So what you can do is I can pick more than one, and which is what I do. I always, when I have an original file, transcode it into several different formats, so I'm covered no matter what the customer wants to use. So now, that's what a transcoder does. So after I encode the files, now I want to go to here and to Amazon Elastic or Interactive Video Service. What this is a streaming service. This will allow me to do a live stream of the video that I just encoded. And this way you can, anywhere in the world you can do. Now, so what you need to do first is set up a channel. And a channel will allow you to set an endpoint for your configuration data, so that a streaming software can communicate with AWS streaming service. So the streaming software will communicate with this channel that I've created. And I call it Governorphd1. That's my handle for the internet, and especially YouTube. Any of my videos use this prefix. But let's go into the channel and then actually look at the most important, and that is the stream configuration. This is what the streaming software, which I'm going to talk about next, will need to communicate with your channel. It's going to need the ingest server, a stream key, which is here, secret, supposed to keep it secret, and then the URL. This is what I would place, or we use in any browser, any video playing, any video players that can show network streams. We use it. So this is the information that your channel creates for you. Now you can use your streaming software to interact with this and use this information to do it. Now, I guess I was a little disappointed that you have to go outside of AWS for streaming software, but that's just the way things are done. So now, the streaming software that I use and AWS recommends, they recommend two, I chose this one. And why? I don't know. It's one of the hardest. I got very confused in trying to implement it using Amazon's tutorial. Very confusing. I was almost 3 days to get this thing to work. But I finally did. And then the first thing I learned when I come here to their page and look at their tutorial, and first thing on their page is it's not recommended for beginners. And since I am a beginner at streaming, I was a little disappointed. But I pushed on. I got it to work. But this is called FFmpeg. This is the streaming software that I use. It is an open source command line program. So I need to open up a terminal to be able to use it. And again, we're outside of AWS, but this is how it works. So what you need to do is open up a terminal, and then we will start the stream. But before I do, I want to go back to my channel, and I guess I can do it here. This is where you go to show any live stream. So I can click on my channels here, and I go back and I click on live channels. Right now it's showing me nothing. I don't have any live channels. Nothing is streaming. All right. So now let's go back to terminal and use that software. It's called FFmpeg, and this is just the program itself. But this is what we're going to use to start the stream. Now, why it took me 3 days to get this thing up and running. This is the command. I'm going to put it in a script and run it from there, and it'll be a lot easier. But for presentation purposes, I just put it in a text document and copied it here. This is the command that I'm going to paste into terminal to start the stream. And I had to, not all of it do I understand, but I had to get so I understand some of it, and I do. So my input file, my endpoint, and my stream key. They wanted to use environment variables, but I couldn't get them to work, so I just put the actual data in. Most important point, it does work. So I'm going to copy that from there, and I'm going to drop that right into the terminal on the command line. And then we're going to hit enter, and now we are actually streaming. Now another note, and again, I didn't use a lot of services, a lot of Amazon service. I don't know if, Professor, you're going to consider this a service. Is not actually, FFmpeg is not part of Amazon, but you can't run their streaming service without a streaming software, and this just happens to be the one I chose. Once I got it running, and it was doing this, is running. So to verify that, I went back to my channel on Amazon, and it does. Now we can see that we are streaming. It tells you the duration, tells you the channel, and that you are live. Again, this not a whole lot of services that I use, but this was intense, I got to admit, and a heck of a learning project. And not only that, I'm going to use it. This is something I've been looking for to get started, to help me with my business. Again, to get away from YouTube and all this distractions from my customers, so they can go there and see their product or because I do a lot of videos for advertisement and for entertainment. So this way we can go and do just that. Now, if I think I can go here. If we want to actually view the streaming video, we can use either Amazon's streaming video player, which is right here. It's an instance of it in your channel if you have this service. And here it is. It's a video about possibly living underwater. Or you can just copy the URL which is given and into any browser or video player that will play network streams and see the video from anywhere. And that is my presentation.